The building is only, in a sense, like any building, it's a crystallization around an extremely profound and beautiful idea. And that idea is that access to health care, access to hospital, highly specialized hospital care, should be free to everybody.
A holy man named Sathya Sai Baba announced on November the 23rd, 1990, that a super speciality hospital would be built near Puttaparthi, declaring that the first heart operation would be performed only 12 months later. Born in Puttaparthi on November the 23rd, 1926, his birth was marked by miracles and unusual events. The site of his birthplace is now a Shiva temple. At an early age, Sai Baba began his lifelong mission of service to mankind. He says, "My life is my message." From this remote rural setting, Sai Baba's words and deeds have reached people all over the world. For more than 50 years, his dedication and service to all, especially the poor and needy, have transformed an entire region of southern India. The village of Puttaparthi, near the Chitravati River in the state of Andhra Pradesh, is situated 160 kilometers north of Bangalore and still does not appear on most maps. Nevertheless, it has become the destination for millions who regard Sai Baba as the greatest living spiritual teacher and who come for inspiration, spiritual guidance, and some out of curiosity. Known as the man of miracles, Sai Baba astounds people by materializing objects. These miracles defy the laws of nature and baffle the world's top scientists. In his early life, some were performed under this tamarind tree, now called the wish-fulfilling tree. His ashram, or spiritual retreat, Prasanthi Nilayam, the abode of supreme peace, was established in the village in 1950. Since then, it has expanded considerably to accommodate Sai Baba's cultural, educational, and health programs, and also to welcome thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of visitors at any one time. For many Westerners, a visit to Puttaparthi is their first encounter with the Indian and ashram ways of life and the traditions of this ancient culture. Part of this remarkable heritage is a natural acceptance of miracles. Yet, it was still inconceivable to many that close to this a world-class hospital could be completed in 12 months. A most unlikely venue to have a link with a hospital for the poor in rural India is the famous Hard Rock Cafe in London. For many years, a photograph of Sai Baba and one of his most quoted sayings, "Love all, serve all," have been displayed in the restaurant. Its founder, Tigrett, who has known Sai Baba for a long time, developed the Hard Rock Cafe into a worldwide chain. After selling the business, he donated $54 million towards the cost of building the super speciality hospital. One of the fundamental requirements for the hospital design was to find an architect with specialized knowledge. This led Tigrett to an eminent British architect in London.
Yes.
Professor Critchlow, how did you come to be involved, and how were you chosen as architect for the super speciality hospital?
Well, it's really rather a curious story, because I was sitting in my office at that time at the Royal College of Art, and my secretary said there was a man who insisted on seeing me, whose name was Isaac Tigrett. I had no idea who Isaac Tigrett was, and she said he's all dressed in black and looks a bit hippie. And so I said, oh, let's see what he wants. He, very good at coming to the point, he said there was a large project in India, which was a hospital which needed doing, and he thought it would be very valuable if the architect knew something about sacred geometry or the nature of sacred buildings. And so he said, would I come? And I looked at him and thought about it and said, well, maybe, what's the deal, sort of thing. He said, well, I'll pay for you to go and so forth. And I said, well, I'll come if my wife can come. I don't know why I said that, but my wife's usually a very good judge of my clients. So. And so he said, fine, fine. We eventually went to India, and it was quite overwhelming to see so many people there. I'd not been to an ashram before, but had a wonderful quality of place. I mean, and here was this unusual man with a large amount of hair and wonderful warm aura about him, this wonderful orange costume. And he got us into the small room, and he looked at me and said, what do you want? And I thought, this is a rather strange question. What do I want? And I said, I'd like to know whether you'd like me to be your architect. He said, no, 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 what do you want? And I thought, well, this is not quite a normal interview job. So I said, well, I would like to serve you. I'd like to serve the situation.
The project was immense, and a mere 12 months to completion seemed impossibly short. Not surprisingly, the architectural team had some doubts about finishing on time.
People talk about miracles in relationship to Sai Baba, but purely in worldly terms, that building of that hospital was totally miraculous. In terms of what it normally takes to do such a thing, a highly technical, very large, very complex building. Sai Baba said, come and see the site. We drove with him in his car. We looked at the site. Here was this flat piece of land with a few trees on it. And he said, in a year's time, we'll have the first operation on this thing. And I said, inside my head, I said, no way, that's possible. But as the evidence I saw about me in Puttaparthi, the more I got to know about the amazing social accomplishments of Sai Baba, this founding of girls' colleges, the building of this education building, the sports pavilion, all these things were evidence that he somehow is able to move these things and get them done. So my doubts were human, but at the same time, part of me thought, well, if he says the first operation is going to be in a year's time, I'm sure he's right, because he hasn't been wrong yet. We decided, that's Isaac Tigrett and myself, decided that it would be very nice for us to go onto the site while it was still just a flat field and make a personal dedication. So I said, let us go on the site and let us draw a particular mandala, which I knew from my studies would be relevant. So we went and we drew the Vastu Purush mandala. All you have to do is to scratch it in the ground and do the right number of squares and so forth. And so we then meditated and said a prayer on that place. As we turned round, we suddenly became aware of some very large birds sitting on the ground. And I said to Isaac, what do you think those are? He said, oh, well, they're definitely eagles. And I think there were about 5 of them. For many, many traditions, the indications coming from the natural world that a site is sacred or it's blessed will come from particularly eagles, because they're the highest of the birds. We use it in Christianity. St. John is represented by an eagle when we have the 4 beasts in Christianity. You know, the lion of St. Mark and the bull of St. Luke and the water bear, which is human.
Considering the magnitude of this building and complexity of design, incorporating ancient and sacred principles from different cultural traditions, how much time was allocated for the design process?
We worked out we only had 3 months to design the whole hospital. That meant every kind of specialization, total planning, numbers of everything, numbers of patients, sizes of wards, size of equipment. 3 months. That took us 17 architects working 17 hours a day for 3 months, and we produced a booklet with drawings this size. And that left them 7 months. The construction team in India, construction company, ECC, it left them 7 months to build it. Well, as it takes 7 years to do a hospital in this country, what was achieved in 7 months in India would have taken 7 years here. In retrospect, it was an impossible time span, but we had to put the word impossible out of our vocabulary. But apart from that, every single thing about the hospital was a challenge. Nothing like it had been done before. And therefore, we knew that it was a matter of putting ourselves in the hands of the situation and learning by doing.
Contrary to what skeptics believed, the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences was inaugurated, and not only one, but 4 heart operations were performed on November the 22nd, 1991, exactly 12 months after Sai Baba's announcement. When aged 14, Vijaya Bhaskar, who was born with a hole in the heart, became the first patient to have heart surgery on the opening day. His hometown is Anantapur, 90 kilometers from Puttaparthi, where his parents run a small convenience store. Raising money for their son's operation was impossible, and they had nowhere to turn for help. Luckily for Vijaya, they were told of the free super speciality hospital. Otherwise, this now healthy 16-year-old might not be alive.
When our son was 3, our local doctor advised us that he had a hole in his heart. He was given treatment, but further complications occurred at the age of 10 while he was studying at school. We were told to take him to Hyderabad for treatment, where many tests were taken. We had to spend 5,000 rupees and were told that the cost of an operation would be 1 lakh or 100,000 rupees. We were at a loss to find the money.
ఆపరేషన్ చేయాలా 1,00,000 రూపాయలు కావాలా అన్నారు. చేతకాక మేము ఇక్కడికి అనంతపురానికి మళ్ళీ తిరిగి వచ్చినాము.
వచ్చిన తర్వాత నా ఫ్రెండ్ దగ్గర ఆలోచించేసాం. ఏమండి ఇట్టుంది ఏం సమాచారం అంటే ఆయన పుట్టపర్తి.
One of our friends told us about Sai Baba Super Specialty Hospital, where the treatment would be free of charge. We took a chance and went to Puttaparthi. On the first day, we could not see anybody. But on the second day, we submitted my son's medical reports. It was immediately agreed that the operation would be performed on 22nd November 1991. Since that day, he is keeping in good health.
అప్పటి నుంచి అబ్బాయికి బాగానే ఉంది, ఆరోగ్యంగానే ఉన్నాడు.
Swami came to me and told me that I do not need to fear and that I have his blessings for the day of operation. And now I am keeping well by the grace of Baba.
చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఫీల్ అయ్యాను.
Since Vijaya's surgery, over 2,500 heart operations have been performed. In addition to the cardiothoracic department, the kidney wing was opened in November 1992, and more than 800 patients have since been operated on. Further departments planned for the future will specialize in cancer treatment, neurosurgery, and pulmonary medicine. The director of the hospital, Dr. Saphia, was formerly director of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi, the capital of India.
Please tell us, who is eligible to come here for treatment?
All people, all human beings, irrespective of the distinction of caste, creed, color, religion, country, what have you, they can all come. And in the disciplines of heart and kidney at the present time. And they are completely free to come to this place, and there is absolutely no charges for investigation or treatment concerning these 2 specialties.
The problem of affording specialized medical care is not confined to India. Even in the developed West, public appeals are often launched to save a life. These 1-year-old boys both need life-saving heart operations, which their poor parents could never afford.
Most probably these children, which you are referring to, small children of villages, where they would not know where the hospital of this type that treats the, say, diseases of heart of children, Or where are these available? They wouldn't know. They are ignorant, illiterate. Nobody to guide them. This way, they go to any doctor, and that doctor knows there is a hospital at such and such place which treats free of charge, investigates free of charge, and does surgery also free of charge if necessary. Then they refer them to this place. That's how the patients come to this place. They would otherwise, I am sure, would have died.
Not only the poor and needy find their way here, but thousands of visitors from India and all over the world journey to this hospital. Attracted by the palace-like beauty of the building, they also discover its serenity and healing atmosphere.
Integrated with the spiritual fervor, with love, affection, individuality of the person taken into consideration, all this has been integrated in this hospital. It is not only the free treatment, but it is also a loving treatment, a caring treatment. And that's why sometimes I don't like to call it a hospital, I call it temple of healing. It does not only heal the disease with which the patient had come. They leave mentally, psychologically, spiritually different human beings when they leave from this temple of healing.
This consideration of the whole person is supported by the hospital's medical statistics, which are better than international standards. The mortality rate is less than 2%, and infection rate less than 1%. Are these remarkable statistics the result of a unique blend of science, spirituality, and the inspiration of sacred architecture?
Another very important function of a building like this is that one can see the lotuses and the flowers involved, and some people see that as being mere decoration. In fact, it's been called cosmetics, and what most people don't realize is the word cosmetics comes from the word cosmos. We've forgotten that. So people decorate themselves to become cosmic, in the true sense of the word. And this is an unconscious desire. But we have in architecture modernism which says that we should just get form to follow function. It should be functional. And people don't stop to think what that means, because it's just one level. And if there's a physical level, mechanical level of function, that's fine. But then there's a psychological level. One must feel good, one must feel comfortable about it. Then there's a cultural level of function. It has to be within the culture. It has to be part of the place. You can find a Hilton hotel being identical, whether it's in Reykjavik, whether it's in Japan, whether it's in Madras, it's just the same, or Cairo even. So you have a cultural necessity of function. Then you have a final one, which is a spiritual level of function. We've tried to embody all these levels of function in this building.
Professor Critchlow and his team needed to understand the practical needs of Indians in a hospital situation, and so they consulted Indian doctors working in London. They learned that relatives prefer to sleep near the patients and sometimes even want to cook their own food. These pavilions were designed to cater for the needs of the families, an unusual consideration for Western architects.
Many people ask about the principle of a dome, and what occurred to me, which no doubt was given, was that the dome is really a principle of the heart, and normally in our body the heart is this way up. And if you turn it this way up, which is returning it to God, then you have the principle of the domical form. The main dome is the heart of Baba, and that is the one which is welcoming you as you come in. The other domes are on the wings where the wards are, and they are rounded, and they are symbolized by the arms coming to look after and nurture like mother. And you walk in between these arms, and it's like Baba saying, I'm going to look after you while you come into this building.
Professor Critchlow believes there is always a team working together on a project, that there is never a single architect. Yet the story which arouses much laughter in Puttaparthi is that God is actually the architect of this hospital.
They said, why don't you send us in writing? We will get it published in the Guinness Book of World Record. I said, sir, this is God's records. They cannot be fitted into world records.
The whole mankind is afflicted either in East or in West due to one type of disease or other, born out of environmental hazards, poverty, malnutrition, infections of untreatable nature. It's suffering quite a bit, and all the treatment and investigations cost money. Due to the rapid increase in the technological knowledge and latest machines coming in the market, the cost of diagnosis and treatment has arisen quite a bit. Even in most of the countries, the richest countries of the world, they find it difficult to manage it out of their pocket. You see, they have to go and for health insurance or for national security systems, and all these things have to be done. But in spite of all that, they are finding it difficult to finance any individual's treatment. Therefore, to find a method, to have a model here in this Prasanthi Nilayam, we have a model where Swami has shown the way, where a completely free, latest, not compromised, but the latest and credible treatment can be given in specialties which are most costly. And the very idea was this, to demonstrate, to show the path, to demonstrate a model, to have a method in front of people where they can do such things. It is possible to run a hospital on this basis for those who have absolutely no door to knock at for money.
The need for this free super speciality hospital is evident. Every day between 150 and 200 patients attend the cardiac outpatient department, and between 4 and 6 heart operations are performed every working day. With such demand, we asked Dr. Sathya how the running of the hospital is financed.
It's financed from the interest that comes from a corpus fund, which has been placed with various banks and by the medical trust, Sathya Sai Medical Trust. Has invested a certain quantity of money as a corpus fund with banks, and the interest coming thereof runs the day-to-day running of the institute.
And also donations from devotees?
Direct donations go to the trust.
There are 246 staff, of whom 10 are working on an honorary basis, and the remainder are regularly paid employees. All staff members are provided with free accommodation close to the hospital. According to Dr. Sathya, whether salaried or voluntary, the staff are all devoted to their profession and to the service of mankind.
A single flower cannot make a garland. All the people, the patients, doctors, workers, work in a spirit of harmony and unity.
The Super Speciality Hospital project is only one of Sai Baba's many achievements. Located close to the symbolic Puttaparthi village gate, through which all visitors to the ashram must pass, is Sai Baba's first university, the Institute of Higher Learning. It is one of the many free educational facilities founded by him because of the importance he places on education, which emphasizes the building of character. Sai Baba says,
"Character is the hallmark of man. A life without good character is a shrine without light, a coin that is counterfeit, a kite with a string broken."
A global program of education in human values has been launched and is already active in various countries. This system has been designed to uplift the social and moral values of children and youth, and to bring out their best. Each year, students from Sai Baba's schools and colleges, including the youngest primary school children, gather in Puttaparthi for their spectacular sports day. It is a happy and colourful celebration enjoyed by both the performers and onlookers. The wonders of the universe are displayed in the space theatre. Almost any celestial or meteorological phenomenon can be reproduced on its indoor sky. This planetarium is the first used by a university in India for course studies. Astounding, in-depth collections of artifacts representing all world religions are displayed in the magnificent Heritage Museum. Adjacent to the museum is the administration building. From this centre, Sai Baba's schools, colleges and university are managed. Although the social achievements of this holy man are outstanding, most people who come to the ashram are unaware of their extent. They come attracted by his miracles and his teachings. Visitors to the ashram are accommodated in simple, clean rooms and larger dormitories. They participate in the ashram's daily activities and festivities, some of them held here in the Purna Chandra Auditorium, part of which is Sai Baba's home. Thousands gather every day in the grounds of the mandir, or temple, to receive Sai Baba's personal blessing, to pray and to join in devotional singing. One of his fundamental teachings is the unity of all peoples and all religions.
There is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one God. He is omnipresent. Let the different faiths exist. Let them flourish and let the glory of God be sung in all languages and in a variety of tunes. That should be the ideal. Respect the differences between the faiths and recognize them as valid as long as they don't extinguish the flame of unity.
This vision is also represented by symbols of the 5 major world religions which feature together in the central garden of the hospital grounds. Different cultural traditions of architecture further express the theme of unity. This unique and deliberate aspect of design is exemplified by the collective style of domes. This dome is based on ancient Hindu principles. Another is from the Islamic tradition with a Mughal curvature, and the main dome incorporates all styles that have ever been built.
Each one of the domes represents a cosmological principle, and this is the major one. This is the sun, one might say, and these other ones are the planets. And these are all just levels of symbolism. Now, we didn't have a lot of time to build those in, but the geometry of the curvature, for instance, of this dome here, it embodies a great number of very important geometric principles, which it's never been important for me to tell or explain to anybody. But if in time, in years hence, people do what I've done to sacred buildings, and that is to analyze them, they'll find out what the geometry is. And that's the way it passes down the line. You have to earn it by analyzing. So it's a miracle in its own way, there's no doubt about that. And it could only have been done because everybody not only believed in what they were doing, but put far more than normal energy into it. And inspirational energy is not calculated in joules or energy, physical energy things. Inspirational energy, we can all do superhuman things if we have inspirational energy.
Love and influence of Sai Baba is responsible for the basic concept of this hospital. Were it not his love, tremendous love for the entire mankind and the suffering people who, because of want of money, were praying to God, praying to him to come forward with some help to them. And that is why a hospital concept was born.
This concept is based on the treatment of mind, body and spirit.
God is the doctor. Seek him. Rely on him. You will be free from diseases. Health is wealth. Look after it.
What is sickness for? Most people think sickness is something just to get over. It's not. Sickness is to remind you how precious life is and what life is, what you're meant to achieve in an incarnation. And I'm not saying anybody can point the answers, but at least it gives you a chance to ask that question. Here's a column which is not actually supporting anything beyond here, and then it continues and has a lotus on top. Well, apart from the lotus being the key symbol for Hinduism, in this particular case, this is a symbolic representation of the human spine, and this is a symbol of the completion of an incarnation with a total flowering of consciousness. So what you do, you put symbols in front of patients which enable them to understand what the goal of life is, not just how to get over this hump, that you're ill, you've got something to be done, but what is the overall goal of life. So when they come out of the hospital, they may even have a better idea of why they're alive at all.
For love of Sai Baba and his vision, many people come for a period of time to offer their help. An analogy which comes to mind while watching these workers is that of someone polishing a jewel. This precious jewel is lovingly cared for by the many dedicated sevadals, or volunteers, who, as Sai Baba says, keep the hospital clean as a mirror and relentlessly work hard with a spirit of service and sacrifice. Preparation is in progress for a large medical gathering. Doctors from all over the world have been invited to attend the second International Symposium on Cardiovascular Diseases in Puttaparthi. The first was held in February 1993.
You have a cardiac symposium, the second one this year?
Second one. Last year, same time we had the first one, which was widely attended by about 200 to 300 delegates, 250 delegates from all over the world and India. This time we expect a larger gathering. Already about 100 people from abroad have expressed their desire to come and join. And some of them are coming at their own expense to join a 3-day symposium. And say, good thing in one way that people who matter in the medical world are taking interest in this experiment of Bhagwan Sathya Sai Baba. This experiment is causing, you see, quite a lot of thought-provoking phenomenon in the minds of medical people.
Guests arriving for the first time may have wondered about the location of the symposium. The Sri Sathya Sai Airport, close to the hospital, has welcomed many VIPs, prime ministers and presidents. Guest of honor, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, the President of India, inaugurated the symposium on the 21st of January 1994 in the auditorium of the Institute of Higher Learning. Leading surgeons from France, the United States, Spain, the United Kingdom, Israel, Australia, Italy, Japan, Singapore, and Indonesia attended. Addressing the symposium, Sai Baba said,
"Medical science should recognize the role of the mind in causing sickness, and every physician should try and trace the cause of diseases." The President commended the super speciality hospital as a model which can be followed by the entire world.
The aim of the symposium is for the people who are working in the fields of cardiology and cardiothoracic surgery to come together and to discuss cardiological problems scientific way, a purely scientific way, discussions, getting closer to each other. In this background, I believe it has a special connotation. It could have taken place in nice banquet halls and all that. It is taking place in a rural setting. They have to motor through large number of thatched huts and dusty roads to come to this place, and this hospital is placed absolutely in rural setting. If you just take 100 yards away from this hospital outer boundary, you will find the most rustic village that you can find anywhere in India. And it is placed in this background purposely, in the sense that to see and to show that this experiment can flower right at the door of the poor man and the poor villager who are deprived of these facilities. It can be done.
Throughout India, in crowded cities like Madras, the medical needs of the poor and lower income groups are officially taken care of by government hospitals. However, due to an ever-growing population, the demand for free and subsidized medical care is overwhelming. This demand places continuous pressure on staff and material resources, and sometimes not even simple items like bandages are available. According to one government hospital doctor, who was not permitted to make a statement on camera, the government budget for health care has not kept pace with the growth in population. Some state governments address this problem by offering a financial incentive to women for sterilization after the birth of their first child. This initiative is also being offered by the Voluntary Health Services Hospital, or VHS, in South Madras. This general medical center is subsidized by a state government grant and donations from local companies. 90% of doctors working here practice in private clinics, yet they donate 1 or more days per week to treat patients free of charge. Even though the VHS and other voluntary medical organizations in India and throughout the world are not connected to the super speciality hospital in Puttaparthi, they are already applying Sai Baba's vision of service to mankind by providing valuable medical treatment to the poor and needy. The symposium's agenda focused on the latest techniques in the treatment of cardiac ailments, while Sai Baba strongly recommended that doctors should win the hearts of the patients by talking to them with compassion and concern, adding that diseases are half cured when the doctors talk to the patients with love and consideration. The sick and the diseased respond favorably to this kind of treatment.
It is his love alone that is responsible for creating such a relationship between the doctor and the patient, or the nurse and the patient, amongst their own selves, their interrelationships with each other, the teamwork, the results, trying to be economical where we can, and trying to be more helping in whatever way we can. Write a letter for a patient, even if he doesn't know how to write. Some of us will go and write. I have written at least 2 or 3 times letter for a patient who didn't know how to write. So that is it. And doctors are all approachable. Anybody can walk into my room, any doctor's room. If he is free, he will certainly attend. So these are all because all the workers try to follow Swami's dictum. My life is my message. We have been seeing him day in and day out, what he is doing. We try, in our own little way, try to follow that.
What is difficult for the Western mind, and for a Westerner like myself, going to meet a holy man of his caliber, is how one copes with the experience, because we are brought up to be very discriminate and very careful and questioning about everything and making judgments all the time and looking for negatives and so forth. But one finds that in his company and listening to him and watching all the different kinds of people who come into his domain, that he is able to unify, not only unify the people, but unify an individual like oneself. One suddenly finds one's feelings and all these things being able to be drawn together in a single thing. One's judgment, the way one thinks about things, the way one opens one's affections to him is quite disarming in a way, very, very short time. I would love to do it all again, yes. It'd be a privilege to be asked again. What more could, I mean, if you, when it comes to signing off, as they say, or going on to your next incarnation, whatever, it's nice to look back and say, well, which things did you do which were most used to your fellow man? And very high on my list, maybe top, would be having the opportunity to put a hospital together, which is the second biggest one in Southeast Asia, and to have people able to go and have free medical treatment. I mean, what else is worth living and dying for? I don't know, but for me, be high on my list.
Many of you, while glorifying this hospital, say, your hospital. It belongs to all of us. It is our hospital, and you're always welcome. This hospital owes its progress to the sacrifice and service of many. But the most important of all is the will of God.